Jefferson County Court of Law number 2 is back in session. The court is in session. And cause number M333336. The case is styled the state of Texas versus Damon Dwayne Ned. Mr. Ned, is that your full name? Mr. Ned, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Ned, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God? Mr. Ned, you may put your hand down. How are you doing, Mr. Ned? I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. Mr. Ned, you're represented in your case by your attorney, Attorney Ralph Kimler. Attorney Kimler, how are you doing?
Still doing well, John.
And Mr. Kimler, do you waive a record in Mr. Ned's case?
So wait,
Mr. Ned, I have before me a document that is titled information. This information was filed by the Jefferson County District Attorney's Office. In this information, Mr. Ned, it alleges that on or about June 30th of 2022, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense. Mr. Ned, do you understand? It's the Class A offense of DWI. Mr. Ned, do you understand what you have been charged with? And to this charge, Mr. Ned, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
Yeah.
Now, are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
just to be clear, they're dropping the 1.5 enhancement.
Okay.
Wouldn't that make it a B?
Yes. Now, Mr. Ned, in this case, the state is abandoning the enhancement paragraph, which means that the case is going to be reduced from a Class A misdemeanor down to a Class B misdemeanor. Do you understand that? Now, the range of punishment for a Class B DWI is minimum 72 hours in the Jefferson County Jail to a maximum of 180 days, a fine that does not exceed $2,000. Do you understand the range of punishment?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Ned, to this charge of Class B DWI, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest? Guilty. Now, you're pleading guilty freely and voluntarily? And are you pleading guilty because you are guilty? Okay.
Yeah, good.
All right. Now, Mr. Ned, I also have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishments. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
On page 2 of the same document, there are a set of initials on the line that's next to the box that says guilty. Did you place your initials on this document?
Yes, sir.
On page 3 of the same document, there's a signature above the line that is titled defendant. Is this your signature?
Yes, sir.
And on the next document that's titled trial court certification of defendant's right of appeal, you recognize this document? And is this your? What do you mean? Oh, look at, he's scratched. Yeah, yeah. The one you could just erase through this, and you can erase both, and he could write his name on the line.
That one wouldn't erase.
Oh, was that one you had, not this one? Okay.
So that one will erase.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I would do that, but that one wouldn't.
Yeah. You just erase it like you're doing a pencil erase. You don't have to tap it. Okay. Now, Mr. Ned, I have before me a document that is titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal. You recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled Defendant?
Yes, sir.
At the top of this document, there are 2 boxes that's checked. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that statement?
Yes.
The second box that's checked states that you're waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that statement? I also have before me a document on paper that is titled Discovery Certification. Do you recognize this document? And is this your signature on the line that's titled Defendant? Mr. Ned, before you signed and initialed all of these documents that I just showed you, did your attorney go over these documents with you?
Yes, sir.
And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge? Mr. Ned, are you a citizen of the United States? State, I have before me State's Exhibit number 1. State, would you like to offer State's Exhibit number 1 into evidence?
Yes, Your Honor.
Without objection.
No objection, State's Exhibit number 1 will be admitted into evidence. Mr. Kellerman, you've advised and counseled Mr. Ned. Is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Ned, your attorney, Mr. Kimmler, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Ned, I will accept your plea of guilty. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
The agreement is the plea to the state's offer of 1 year deferred probation with a $500 fine, 60 hours community service, the installation of an interlock device, and DWI steering conditions of probation. The state is abandoning the 0.15 enhancement.
I keep them. Well, you drop it,
Yeah.
I mean, not having one driving experience, but
Yeah, no, I mean,
you don't know.
Now.
If you do, you
You
get
could
caught.
have, they have you folks, so.
What is the court cost in Mr. Ned's case?
Wait, you just want to look at it. The operator.
I had to do it over.
Okay, Mr. Ned, the state is offering that you serve 1 year deferred adjudicated probation. During the 1 year deferred probationary period, you'll be required to pay a DPS fee of $100. You'll be required to pay a fine of $500. You'll also be required to pay a court cost of $392. You'll be required to pay court costs of $60 a month, a urinalysis fee, $15 each month, and you will be required to pay $15 reimbursement fee. You'll also be required to pay Jefferson County DWI initial evaluation fee of $125 on the day of plea. Should a further evaluation be needed, you'll be required to pay an additional $50. Your total monthly installments, that is the total amount that you will be required to pay each month while you are on probation, is $173 a month. Will you be able to pay the $173 a month?
Yes, sir.
You will also be required to perform 60 hours of community service, install the interlock device on any vehicle that you own or operate. You'll be required to attend and complete a DWI education class. You will be required to have a drug and alcohol assessment, and you'll be required to adhere to the other standard terms and conditions of your probation. Mr. Ned, do you understand the state's offer? Do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just? And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Ned, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Mr. Ned, this will conclude your case. Now, Mr. Ned, if you successfully complete the probationary period, this case will be dismissed. It will not be it will not result in a conviction on your record. And you may qualify for non-disclosure. You can talk to your attorney about the non-disclosure because he's quite competent in those matters. Now, Mr. Ned, before we go any further, do you have a commercial driver's license?
No.
Okay. All right, Mr. Ned. You can have a seat, wait for your name to be called, and once your name is called, you'll come up to the window to finalize the paperwork. All right.
I have a question. I know you said a $15 a month urinalysis fee. Is that, what if he's not urine, what if he doesn't take?
It's
the-
just a fee, but it's probation fee. It's a urinalysis fee.
Whether you have, whether they give you the test or not, you have to. pay.
Well, apparently they must do it monthly. That's what's the $15 a month.
Well, that's what I was wondering, because actually on cases. that-
No. Yeah, okay.
Where they're charging them the fee, but they're not giving them the test, but they're still having.
Well, you'd have to check with the probation department.
I was just wondering if you knew anything, whether that's.
No, I don't know anything about that. I just know it's a standard fee that they charge.
But it seems like if they're not testing, they shouldn't collect it. It should be-
Well.
Yes, it doesn't.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we not here, we not there yet. This is what he has to pay in the future.
What?
Let's see. Okay, next case
I'm just trying to neck one down.
is Harmon. Jefferson County Court at Law number 2 is back in session. The court is in session in cause number let's go, cause number 23, CCCR 0876. The case is styled in state of Texas versus Damon Darnell Harmon. Mr. Harmon, is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Harmon, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Harmon, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help you God? Mr. Harmon, you may put your hand down. How are you doing, Mr. Harmon?
Pretty good.
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. Mr. Harmon, you represented in your case by your attorney, Attorney Wright Kimler. And Attorney Kimler, how are you doing?
Still doing well.
That's good. Now, Mr. Kimler, do you waive a record in Mr. Harmon's case?
So,
Mr. Harmon, I have before me a document that is titled information. This information was filed by the Jefferson County District Attorney's Office. In this information, it alleges that you, Damon Darnell Harmon, on or about July 23rd of 2022, while you were operating a motor vehicle in a public place in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of driving while intoxicated. Second, state, are you abandoning the enhancement paragraph?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Now, the state is abandoning the enhancement paragraph. And what that basically means is that you will no longer be charged with a Class A misdemeanor. You'll be charged with a lesser included offense, a Class B misdemeanor. So they're going to drop it down to a Class B misdemeanor. Mr. Harmon, Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, to the Class B misdemeanor offense of driving while intoxicated, which occurred on about July 23rd of 2022, while you were operating a motor vehicle in Jefferson County, Texas, how do you plead guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
Guilty.
Now, are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes.
And are you pleading guilty because you are guilty? Mr. Harmon, I also have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishments, also labeled as State's Exhibit Number 1. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
On page 2 of this same document, there are a set of initials on the line next to boxes check guilty. Did you place your initials on this document?
Yes.
On page 3 of this same document, there's a signature above the line that's titled defendant. Is this your signature?
Yes.
On the next document that's titled trial court certification of defendant's right of appeal, do you recognize this document?
Yes.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant?
Yes, sir.
At the top of this document, there are 2 boxes checked. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that statement?
Yes, sir.
The second box that's checked states that you're waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that? Before we go on, Mr. Harmon, did I swear you in?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, Mr. Harmon, also, I have a document that is titled Discovery Certification. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant?
Yes.
Mr. Harmon, before you signed and initialed all of these documents that I showed you, did your attorney, Mr. Kimler, go over these documents with you?
Yes.
And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
Yes.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Mr. Harmon, are you a citizen of the United States? State. I have before me State's Exhibit Number 1. State, would you like to offer State's Exhibit Number 1 in evidence?
Yes, sir.
No objection.
No objections. State's Exhibit Number 1 will be admitted. And Mr. Kimball, you advised and counseled Mr. Harmon. Is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
None that I know of, Your Honor.
And Mr. Harmon, your attorney, Mr. Kimball, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Harmon, I will accept your plea of guilty. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. I also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
The agreement is for a plea to the state's offer when 180 days probated for 15 months with a $500 fine, 80 hours community service, interlock device, and DWI first in the conditions of probation. State's abandoning the second.
What's the court cost in this case?
392.
Okay, Mr. Harmon, the state is offering that you serve 180 days in the Jefferson County Jail. However, you will not be required to serve any time in the Jefferson, well, yeah, you would not be required to serve any time in the Jefferson County Jail in this case because you'll be placed on probation. Is that for a period of 15 months?
For
That's correct.
For DWI.
Yeah, hold on a minute. Okay. That's 15 months. Okay. Mr. Harmon, the state is offering that you served 180 days in Jefferson County Jail. However, you will not be required to serve any time in Jefferson County Jail in this case because you'll be placed on probation for a period of 15 months. During the 15-month probationary period, you'll be required to pay a DPS fee of $100. You'll be required to pay a fine of $500. You will be required to pay court costs of $392. You'll be required to pay a probation fee of $60 a month, a year analysis fee of $15 a month, and a $15 reimbursement fee. You will also be required to pay Jefferson County DWI education and initial evaluation fee of $125 on the day of the plea. Should a further evaluation be needed, you'll be required to pay an additional $50. Your total monthly installments, that is the total amount that you will be required to pay each month, is $152 a month. Will you be able to pay the $152 a month? And you'll also be required to perform 80 hours of community service. You'll be required to install.
He has.
Okay, well, you have to maintain the DWI, install and maintain DWI interlock device on any vehicle that you own or operate. You'll be required to, no, it's a requirement that he has to do the DWI, this was a DWI second reduced to a first, is that correct?
That's correct.
So he would have to do the DWI education class and initial evaluation. You will also be required to have an alcohol assessment, and you'll be required to adhere to the other standard terms and condition of DWI probation. Mr. Harmon, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, I do.
And do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes,
And do you accept the state's offer?
I do.
Mr. Harmon, I'll follow a plea bargaining agreement that you have entered into with the state. Mr. Harmon, just have a seat. Wait for our court coordinator to finish paperwork. Once you finish your paperwork and you finish signing and printing, you're free to go and you have a blessed day. And Mr. Kimball, you're free to go and you have a blessed day.
Your Honor, I submitted the dismissal on John Bernard.
Bernard,
Mayor,
they may have dismissal.
I don't have,
Afternoon, Judge.
Good afternoon. Okay. This will conclude the calling of the court's pretrial conference docket, the trial docket, and the announcement docket. All three dockets are scheduled this morning at 9 a.m. Court will be in recess until 1:30.